Welcome to the Heart of Giving. We have another program for you today that will let you know the people in our community that are giving back. And you know, I hope that you're kind of keeping score of all of these wonderful programs that are in the community that have workers, volunteers that are really doing something to make our city a better place. And so if you've been watching, I think that you would be impressed, as I have been, in just knowing that these people care so much about our city and the people in it. And today we have a perfect example of somebody that I thought had retired, but oh no, here she is in a different organization, and that's Arlene Mercer. And Arlene, I'll say what you're doing now, but when I had interviewed the Food Finders, you had just left that organization to retire. Now here you are, executive director of the Urban Community Outreach.
Yes.
And you know, you're the Energizer Bunny, you know, as far as keeping to give back. Did you get bored at being at home or something for a while?
Yes, I cleaned all my closets in my garage and took some trips. And now what do I do?
Oh, well.
I still, of course, help out with Food Finders. It's my baby. I always will. But
tell us about what the Urban Group is.
Urban Community Outreach, they were founded in 2006 by 4 people at the First Congregational Church in Long Beach.
Where is that, on Cedar?
Yes, 241 Cedar.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's 100-year-old anniversary church. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful church. And they cared because they found that the homeless were out Sundays all day long with nowhere to go. The agencies in town are all closed, the library's closed, and they wanted to be able to bring them in and give them some food, and they
Sundays.
did. Yes, Sundays.
Just Sundays.
Yes, that's true. And so by 2008, it became incorporated as a freestanding nonprofit 501c3. Mm-hmm. And we've added to the program so much.
So it's something for the homeless.
Yes, for the low income and homeless.
Low income and
yes.
homeless. And what services do you provide?
Well, first of all, we provide them with a really hot, nutritious meal.
Is this only on Sundays?
It is,
okay.
So far.
Okay.
That service is Sundays from 12:30 until 4. Mm-hmm. And we provide 2 meals during that time. We provide them with the meals. We have a computer lab. We will store documents. They're important documents for them online so that they don't lose them, and still can keep their identification because they move around so much.
Can they learn on these also?
Absolutely. We teach them job skills on the computer and culinary skills. We have brought in healthcare. We have doctors and nurses that come. And this year I brought in a partner, Less Than Act Free Clinic, and we were able to do a dental fair and did fillings and extractions for 106 people.
And all of this is on Sundays?
It is. Okay. It is. So far, it is.
Well, I didn't want to stop you. I was just saying that this is full service, at least one day a week.
Yes. We do provide on the holidays as well. We'll
mm-hmm.
have, be open on the holidays for them.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're going to bring in Antioch College. It's actually a university. In October, they will begin evening classes Monday and Wednesday evening. They can get up to 15 units of credit that are transferable to any college or universities, and it's free for them. So we're working on lots of different things to be able to not only befriend the homeless, but to empower them and lift them out of their situation.
Give them some resources?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so it's not just meals.
No, certainly not. It's not. And
mm-hmm.
we do give them resources too, blankets and hygiene kits and clothing, and referrals. We work with them one-on-one. I interview several each week and see just exactly what their individual needs are. And
Give us some
also
examples
different.
of the people you interview.
Oh golly. We have some seniors raising grandchildren that find difficulty with the housing situation because a lot of the well, all the senior centers actually will not allow children to live there. And so that's one situation. We have fathers raising children on their own, and it's difficult for them. We have so many who've been laid off and are having difficulty getting back in the job market, need some new job skills. Golly, we have students who've graduated from college and they have their degree now and they're ready to go, but no one's hiring them. They don't have experience, and they also want experience, and they're hiring older, more experienced people. So you'd be surprised. There's just a myriad of people that come to us for help. More families towards the end of the month. They usually have some income, but it's not enough to see them through the whole month. So yeah, it all walks, of life. It seems this can happen to.
Is there any one thing that's more prevalent than others?
Well, we have
families, or just people that are single, homeless, or what? What is the
20% of the people we serve are veterans. 70% are men, and 30% women. We have the families that come to us as well, as I say.
Aged?
And the elderly, yes. Surprisingly, there's quite a few elderly. We even have a couple in their 90s. And so we really want to help them, meet them where they're at and see what it is that can help them. There's just not enough affordable housing in Long Beach, for one thing. And costs have risen, and the economy is still not where it should be. And so we find a lot of people need our help.
So there's no housing. You don't provide housing.
I work with them to find housing.
Oh, you help them?
Yes, I do. We help them to build resumes and interviewing skills. Not only teach them the job skills, but now how to go after this job. And we've worked on applications with them, helping them fill those out. Whatever they need, we'll try to help them.
So for the people that need housing, especially if they have children and are grandparents, you would help them, but then as they're older, you might help them with a resume. If you're totally homeless and, you're happy to have the meal, what do you provide for them?
A very nutritious hot meal. When the church people started it, all they had were like peanut butter sandwiches and something to fill their stomach. But now we concentrate on trying to give them really nutritious meals, and we're so blessed with community partners. Of course, my food finders brings us
I'm sure you have a
food,
lot of contact.
and the farmers markets, so that we have lots of nice fresh produce for them. And then we buy good nourishing protein, the meats and cheeses to go with it.
Well, the need in Long Beach is so prevalent in areas that you serve.
Yes.
And if you, as a volunteer, have the resources that just from all the work you've done in the community, this program should grow. Can it grow?
That's what we're doing. Trying to plug the holes, trying to fill the needs that we're finding. We're having a board retreat September 27th, and we're asking in the community what other needs they see that need filled. And as I say, we found that a lot of them needed dental care, and so that's why we did the dental fair, and we're hoping to do another one, and doing fillings and extractions and everything. Wherever there's a need, we try to go ahead and see what we can do about it. I'm sure we can't do everything, but we partner with other agencies. I partner with Mental Health America.
So you're a resource to give them places where they can get help.
Yes.
If you can't do it yourself.
Exactly.
I see. Now this church obviously doesn't meet on Sundays.
They do. They have a service at 10, and it lets out at 11. And we've already been in there cooking. I've hired a program manager / chef.
So they're in two separate locations in the church.
Yes, the church is very large, and
Okay.
we have a large stainless steel kitchen and walk-in refrigerators and freezers. Granted, they're old, and we have to pay for repairs, you know, but yes, we have a nice big space there. We serve in Patterson Hall.
I guess I'm being obtuse in this, but the people are leaving the church as the homeless are coming in to go to a different part of the church?
Yes, most of the church people are gone by 12:30, and our guests line up out front, and we sign them in so that we can, you know, always know how many are there. We served 3,500 unduplicated people last year.
Is that right?
And so that way we know how many are coming to us, and
And
we
some
have
come
about,
every Sunday, probably.
yeah, some do, and we'll have up to 60 new people each week. So it's not always all the same people, but we do have a nucleus of the same people too.
And the people that are there, like a dentist or a doctor or somebody from the health department, do they volunteer their Sundays to come and work?
They do. We have a nurse who's a professor of nursing, and she comes and brings her students. We have Dr. Sophie Momad from you know, one of the universities, and she comes and brings students with her. And people have been wonderful. And when we had the dental fair, we had 13 dentists from the community. Being a first-time thing, I was a little worried how many dentists would sign up.
That's wonderful.
But they did.
Well, today when they're opening the LA fair, that they have the health fair, they said that the most demand is for dental because that's not covered on any of their insurances.
Right,
So,
and there's just been none available. There is something now, the State Health and Human Services Department just sent around a flyer and said they're going to try to provide some dental care. So, so far I tried phoning the number they give you and had a little difficulty getting through. So it may take a while to iron out the bugs, but they say they're going to try and help too, so I hope so.
well, Arlene, you're a phenomenon. I mean, you just can't stop, but you can see that it's in you to do whatever you can. And I think that, as I say, the resources you're bringing and the group that you're working with are doing wonderful things, again, for our community, and I appreciate that, and everyone appreciates what you do.
Thank you.
This urban community outreach is an organization that is necessary, and you're taking care of Sundays. You probably could stay open every day.
Yes, indeed we could.
Very
and,
good.
We're trying to do more.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back. I knew you'd like this. Welcome back. We're always glad to have you still with us. And at this program, you're going to hear something kind of different. We have all types of nonprofits in our community. And today we have someone who represents something that is giving our city great pride. And that is one of our ranchos. And that is Ellen Calamiras, who is here with us, who is the executive director and has been for a long time. And I'm so delighted that you're here because I was just up there for Judy Ross's retirement, and it was, I mean, it was beautiful. I mean, it's grown up more or something, but what's the difference? Tell us about it. I could stop rambling.
I think we've made great strides in the last few decades, improving the grounds where the reception was held for Judy, and of course working on the restoration of the building and educational programming. So each time people have come back who haven't been there for a few years, they recognize new gardens that have been enhanced. And
well, I've been there quite a bit, but it just, maybe it was a beautiful day and it was outdoors and things had grown after the spring. So, but tell us about you. How long have you been with them?
I've been at Rancho Los Cerritos nearly 32 years.
No.
Yes.
Really? I didn't know that long. Oh, for heaven's sake. I should have known that.
I started back in '82 and actually worked at both ranchos, which were operated by the city at that time. And then in 1986 was transferred to Rancho Los Cerritos exclusively.
And tell us what you do there, and tell us about Rancho Los Cerritos.
I do a little of everything. As you know, in any nonprofit, Staff
little
has
bit
to
of
be very
everything.
flexible.
Yeah, that's right, absolutely.
And it's my joy to work on everything from educational programming to grant writing, from working on training volunteers to give tours and work with school programs, to developing boards and doing maintenance and new construction projects.
And what do you do at there with these people?
Um,
I mean,
At the
like, your job has changed so throughout
Mm-hmm.
the years, but what you don't just maintain is what I'm trying to get at. What do you
No,
do there?
we offer a myriad of programs, public tours 5 days a week, which are now often living history tours with characters from the 1840s, 1870s, and 1930s who come forward in time and share their particular stories with visitors from near and far. We have an absolutely fabulous school program that addresses the 4th grade social studies curriculum. Children learn about California history, and when they come to Rancho Los Cerritos for a living history program experience, they see history come alive. They interact with our costumed guides, sort of in an inquiry method. They're asked a lot of questions, asked to think about how the site relates to their own lives today, how the people lived back then, and what are
Tell us
some
a
of the
little bit
universals.
about that. Tell about the background.
For
It
the
started-
Adobe
yeah,
Days
yeah.
Revisited program?
No,
We-
no, not
or-
about the program, but
or
about
the
ranches.
history.
The history.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I always think that everybody should know about Rancho
Well,
Los
no,
Cerritos.
well, in case they don't, I
And,
think I know a little bit, but
The rancho was carved out of one of the first land grants ever given in California to a man named Manuel Nieto back in the 1780s. And it was a vast piece of land. It's hard to imagine today, but it was nearly
probably took Wilmington
300,000
and
acres.
Carson and San Pedro or something.
It actually went all
And
the
Long
way
Beach.
down to Huntington Beach
Oh
and
my.
up to the mountains.
Okay.
The land was carved back. He encroached a bit on mission lands, and then after he passed away, it was divided amongst his children, and Rancho Los Cerritos, the 27,000 acres, was given to his daughter Manuela Nieto de Cota, who built a small adobe on the property, and we used that actually as a basis for the new visitor center we
Oh my.
opened 2 years ago. From there, the next owner was a man named John Temple, a New Englander who settled in Los Angeles and was a very prominent civic leader there. He wanted to get involved in the hide and tallow trade, the mainstay of the California economy at that time, and purchased the land and raised about 15,000 head of cattle there. The 2-story adobe that stands today was the home that he built.
Ah, in
1844.
Wow.
And he owned the property for the next 22 years, selling it eventually to Flint Bixby and Company. And it's at the point when the Bixby family really entered into the Long
I
Beach
see.
area.
I
And
see.
as you know, they have stayed involved ever since. They raised sheep there until the land was just too valuable for that kind of operation, and they began to subdivide the property. Long Beach was founded on the southwest corner of Rancho Los Cerritos, and then eventually Lakewood, Signal Hill, Paramount, Bellflower, portions of Downey and
Established
Southgate
themselves,
established
yeah.
themselves.
Oh my. Well, this really is part of Long Beach, and it's been a part of Long Beach since the 1700s.
Yes.
But it has narrowed itself down, and to think the house was built in the 1800s, and it's still there. What did they use to build it?
Well, of course, there wasn't much lumber around here, and we didn't have brick kilns in the Los Angeles area, and so the house was made of adobe blocks. And Indian labor was used to form the blocks. There were probably over 1,000 blocks per room, and we have over 22 rooms in the building. It was a massive undertaking, probably took 2 years to
I
build.
haven't seen 22 rooms.
A number of the rooms are not open to the public. They're used for storage, offices,
see,
and
I
a
see.
caretaker who lives in the site. But that leads to one of the reasons we have developed a master plan for the rancho and eventually hope to move all modern uses out of the building so we can restore and open up and interpret the rest of the
So your
building.
job is not to just maintain history, it's actually to build, rebuild, and keep the authenticity of it.
Absolutely. The authenticity is absolutely
What
essential.
about the grounds? The same thing?
Grounds as well. Our decision has been to restore the gardens and grounds as best we can to their appearance and use in the 1930s and 40s, but that also incorporates then trees that Temple planted back in the 1840s
Wow.
and the Bixby's put in the 1880s. We do have an area of the property that we've recently developed with California native plants. We didn't have any historical data that could guide us other than a knowledge that
was
the
big in the
Bixby's
day.
were interested in California natives and worked with Theodore Payne and Ralph Cornell and others who believed that natives should be planted. And so we designed the gardens and just opened our California Native Garden last month in August.
Well, it was beautiful. And as you walk into the garden area with the house here, what's that great big tree to the left?
That's a Moreton Bay fig, planted about 1880. Someone
it's-
brought them from Australia.
It's just magnificent. It's majestic.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
it
wonderful.
certainly dominates the gardens.
Now, do you have a board of people from the city that help you? I mean, how do you get your involvement?
We actually have worked with a couple of nonprofits at Rancho Los Cerritos, owned and operated by the city up until this year. We have a board called the Rancho Los Cerritos Foundation, and its role has been to help develop a master plan for the long-term development and viability of the rancho, and to raise funds to implement its recommendations. And we've had another board that has overseen our volunteer program.
And is it still owned by the city?
Rancho Los Cerritos is owned by the city, yes.
But it doesn't have the daily functioning. Not
No,
in charge
on
of-
January 1st of this year, the Rancho Los Cerritos Foundation assumed operational responsibility for the rancho. So in essence, we're starting a small business. The foundation board has taken over everything from the HR responsibilities and daily maintenance to program oversight and fundraising.
Well, it's developed into something that, you know, and what you've done with the entrance makes a difference, and parking so that people can have a place to be conveniently come in. Can anybody just walk in at any time?
Our public hours are Wednesday through Sunday in the afternoons. We do discourage visitors, especially in the mornings when we have school tours, because we don't want to interrupt the experience that the fourth graders have. But we do have a pedestrian gate that we'll often leave open when we are closed to the public, and many joggers
Wandering.
and walkers in the community will walk through, tour the gardens, and head back up the road.
Well, it has maintained itself very well. And when the school children come, they go through the house and the grounds and see the type of plants they use in those days and the type of spoons. Is that right?
We actually have them do a chore or activity that would have been popular in the 19th century. They may wash clothes with the old washboard and wringer, tool leather, punch tin. Even on rainy days, we've got indoor activities that children in the 19th century would have done. They play old-fashioned games. They do learn about the gardens, uses of herbs, and they indeed tour the house.
What's an old-fashioned game? Jump rope?
La Grace, have you ever heard of that? There's small hoops, and you hold sticks, and you toss the hoop to another person, and that person catches the hoop on the sticks and tosses
I
it back.
see.
It's supposed to be a very graceful operation. We do manage to see quite a few hoops hung up in the
Sure.
trees on the ground, so I'm not
Sure.
sure how graceful it is. But children really enjoy that. Or the big rolling hoops, if you recall.
Like a hula hoop?
Pictures. The wooden hoops that you would roll across the ground and push with a stick.
I see. Yes.
Children will have
we
races
seen
with
pictures
those.
of that. So, and in its new function, not function, in its new original status changed as as it's changed. What difference does that make to the operation? Just in the fact that the board is doing this all now rather than in the city?
It has actually allowed us to streamline our operations. We had as I mentioned, two nonprofits, the foundation and the volunteer group, our friends group that worked in conjunction with the city to manage the site. Now we've merged sort of all of that into one operation. We don't need to have two boards and two insurance policies and so forth. But we are also more flexible. We're able to fill positions quicker and
That's great.
new
Well,
programming.
Ellen, I mean, if you've been there as many years, I can't believe it was that long, but you have seen it just emerge into something that is, well, always been a source of pride, but it shows our history.
Yes.
It shows where Long Beach came from, how they lived at that time. And there are very few places that have anything like that, and I congratulate you, and I feel very proud of that. And the Bixby family. And I agree with you. The family is still involved, and Jean and her sister, and they're just still part of our community in a strong way. So thank you very much for being here. I enjoyed it very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And we thank you for watching. And one thing I've been meaning to say, be sure you remember that we are sponsored by Memorial Care in the city of Long Beach. They care about the nonprofits, they're taking care of them, they work together very closely with them. So be sure you know that that is our sponsor this year. Thank you very much for watching.